Yep, you all are getting sheared in 2 weeks. 2 weeks from today. You're gonna look very different. You ready?
Welcome to the Butterfield Alpaca Ranch annual shearing video. This is where we transform our alpacas from this to this. Hello, I'm Tashia Butterfield, owner of Butterfield Alpaca Ranch in Nebraska, where I have raised alpacas and llamas for the last 10 years. Every year in the spring, we shear our herd for their health and for our benefit. With the luxurious fiber that the alpacas produce, we create amazing products for the fiber artist in everyday life. In this video, I will show you what happens on shearing day and how we harvest the fiber.
Hey guys. Hey. Look at the skinnies.
Alpacas and llamas get sheared in a very similar way, but some distinct differences would be in the way that they are placed down on the mat and then what parts of the body get sheared. In the last video, I showed you some of the preparations that I was making for shearing day and our main barn where we would do the actual shearing that has the open space along with 3 stalls that we can separate out the animals. So we typically do the boys first, then the girls, but that's just because of the layout of my property. But on this day, we started with the male llamas, went to the male alpacas, took the boys out, brought the girls in, did the female alpacas, and then the female llamas. And so in showing you today, I'm going to walk you through how we shear an alpaca and then how we shear the llama. I mentioned earlier that we shear the alpacas for their health and for our benefit. So for their health, it's important that we get the fiber off of them because their fiber is very warm and they are susceptible to heat stress. So our primary purpose here is to get the fiber off, which is why we do it in the spring before the weather turns really warm. Also for their health, this is the time in which we will trim teeth or toenails that need done, address any other concerns. When they're restrained like this, it gives us a up-close view to maybe see injuries or wounds that might not have been seen before, especially with them having all the fiber at this point in time. So it's a really important time to get up and close with your alpaca to learn as much as you can about them. And in turn, they are in, a better state of health when they leave. Now, for our benefit means we are harvesting the fiber from them and therefore being able to make things from that fiber. Because of that, we collect it in a certain way. And there are 3 different parts of the fiber that we really focus on. First is the prime, which is what is coming off here, which is going to be the sides and the back, maybe some of the shoulder and the hip, depending on the alpaca, the quality of the fiber that they are producing. So we take that off first, and you can see here there's a sheet. This is actually a garbage bag that is cut open to be like a sheet size, and we will collect that prime blanket fiber and we'll roll it up in a certain way that I'll show you here in just a moment. And then we take off the neck, which has the second best fiber on it, and then we take off the thirds, which is all the leftover bits, the stuff off the legs or the belly, and we do use those in other purposes as well, but we are sure to separate that out from the best parts. Now we're at the point where the blanket is actually being taken off and it is being placed onto this plastic sheet here in the way in which it is coming off the animal. So now that we're at the point of making this video when I'll be able to open that up, know exactly where was the neck, where was the tail, which was the belly, and it'll help me in my sorting efforts. Now, this is Navro. He is a Surrey. His fiber is different from the Wakayas. I do have both. Most of my alpacas are Wakayas, and those are the most common alpacas. They're 2 different breeds, and they produce 2 different fiber styles. And you'll see that here compared this to the next alpaca I'm going to show you, which is Alexis, and she is a Wakaya. It'll come off very differently. But the idea of collecting the fiber here is just the same. And now you'll see over on the left the way that this is my aunt and my mother. They are folding that sheet in a way that will end up looking like a noodle in the end. And so we call this noodling your fleece or noodling the blanket. And it's so that you're keeping the fiber intact in the way in which it came off the animal, which again goes back to the next step, which is your skirting and sorting. Next, I'm going to play a video here of Alexis. She is the wakaya being sheared. Oh, one thing I haven't said yet is the order in which that we shear. We shear light colors to dark colors because after every animal, there can be bits of fiber around. Like, take a look over here on the left. You can see my mouse. Over here on the left, there's little bits of fiber. They could be from her, actually, or they could be from the previous animal. But it is better to have light-colored fibers mixed in with a dark-colored blanket than a dark-colored fiber mixed in with a light-colored blanket. So when it comes to processing and having those mistakenly mixed together, it is better to have gone lightest to darkest for the better outcome. So it being that we've done all the boys and now she's darker, one of the girls, this is quite a bit later in the day. This whole shearing time was about 5 hours straight to shear everybody. So we see here that this is my aunt and this is my friend who is helping out all day. We have my parents here in the background, and then as the video plays you'll be able to see, well, I'm sitting there, I'm finally tired, I'm sitting down, but I have another aunt standing there and my brother, and so we all had a part to play here and taking turns here in the main ring of action. So I'm going to play this clip and kind of walk you through what's happening. All right, so the shear is taking off the blanket, starting at the belly and working his way down, or to the side actually, down to the back. And you can see my aunt and my friend here as they are collecting that blanket coming off. The handler is helping to keep Alexis calm and not moving in a way that she's going to injure herself. And you can see here the difference in the wakaya fiber from the suri. And now they're going to go ahead and noodle. The shear moves on to the legs, and so these are the thirds as they're going to be separated off. The handler now is taking the time to trim her nails, and at the end they'll go ahead and check if her teeth need to be done as well. The teeth and the nails grow constantly, and the nails I can trim throughout the year if needed. The teeth typically are done once a year at this time because they are restrained, and it's really the best time to get that done. Okay, so you see here the fiber has been collected and it's going in its own bag that I already have pre-labeled. And next, after he's done with the legs, he's going to shear the neck, and then we bag that in its own bag. The noodle, here, my aunt's collecting the neck. That's going to go in a bag with the noodle that has Alexis's name on it. So I know it's her and I know what year that this came from. And the shearer is continuing to trim. And over here my friend has these tools ready to collect all of these thirds that are all around, and they end up in this collective third bag over here. I mentioned earlier that one of the things that is different between the way that we treat the llamas and alpacas is with their fiber. Now with the llamas, I have them because they are guards, and so unless otherwise needed, I typically do a barrel cut on the llamas, which is just shearing their midsection that keeps them cool in the summer, but keeps their neck and chest protected. They maintain the fiber there. They are protected for if they do encounter a predator and engage in fighting, that the fiber that they have on them will protect them. So The llamas might look a little funny when they're done. I'm kind of used to it by now, but it is a preferred way to go, and there is a method behind the madness. So here we have Oliver. He was actually the very first animal that we sheared, and you can see that the shear is working at his belly. What we have right here is what has come off his belly. And with the llama fiber, I just put it in just one bag loose because it's not as fine as alpaca fiber. At least the alpacas and llamas I have, it is not as fine as the alpaca fiber, so it has different purposes. And for what I use it for, which is pretty much like rugs and mats and dryer balls and things like that, it does not need to be separated out and sorted, so I can toss it all in a bag with the animal's name on it. And then here's Oliver partly sheared. You can see it's just the midsection coming off, but at the same time you can see how well that blanket is coming off and staying together. Depending on how it was stuffed in the bag, I could take it out and open it up in a way that still resembles how it came off of him. But like I mentioned, it's not as important as it is for when it comes off the alpaca. Now the other llama I have to show you here is Roman. Same thing, just the blanket. But his is pretty fun. I remember one year when I had a child there saying that he looked like a milking cow after he was sheared because of his black and white spots. Yeah, I thought she was pretty right. Now I'm going to show you a video of us getting Oliver in his restraints and down on the mat. We put llamas in the restraints and on the mat in a different way than alpacas. Now for alpacas, the shear and the handler we would take the alpaca to the mat, we'd halter them and bring them to the mat. The shear, the handler would take them, the shearer in front, the handler in the back. They would actually lift the animal up and lay them on their side on the ground. It's all a very gentle process. And then they would put the restraints on first on the back legs and then on the front legs and stretch them out as you have already seen. Now with the llama, it's done a little differently, and this is the third shearing crew that I've used in my 10 years. This is the third shearing company that I have used, and so this is the first one that uses a human chute to get the llamas on the mat. I've had one shearer that would do the llamas standing up, and that's fine too, but this shearing crew, they had a different way to do it. This is the very first animal that we did in the day, so my volunteer crew is still learning, and you'll see some of that. By the end of the day, we were pros. We knew what we were doing because we ended up shearing 8 llamas this day. So we got pretty good at it. So let me just play the video here, and you'll see what we do is we do create the human chute. We have people on either side of the llama. Now Oliver, I think this would be his 3rd year being shorn, I want to say. Maybe his 2nd. There might have been 1 year I skipped in between there. Okay, so yes, we make the human chute, and then the restraints go on the back feet first. We'll walk him forward, put the restraints on his front feet, and then we'll walk him forward again until his legs get stretched, laid flat, and he will actually lay down on the mat. Probably hearing a lot of discussion here. Some tips as we're telling people. All right, the restraints are on the back. Now they're going to put them on the front. And this is all to keep the animals safe. I haven't addressed the restraint issue yet. I know it's difficult for people to see. The very first time I saw it, I was not happy. I thought there has to be another way. There has to be a better way. I've tried other methods, and this, honestly, it is the safest and most efficient. Once the animal is down like this, the shearing can happen in less than 10 minutes. From the time they go down to the time they get up is less than 10 minutes when you are using a professional shearer. All the while, you have people taking care of his head, making sure that he is not moving around, contorting to where he's going to injure himself or anyone who is there. And I mentioned before, this is the chance that we take to get up and close and personal, make sure that everything is okay. Here I'm saying I just want the barrel cut. The shear, they do what the owners say in terms of how the animals get sheared and what gets done when. So if you're having a hard time with this, I understand, because I was there. And after 10 years, I can honestly say this is the best way, and we just choose to do it quickly and efficiently because the most important thing is this animal's safety. At the end here, I'm going to share just a clip of us shearing Molly. She was the last animal to be done that day, and she is the one that took the most effort, but the full 7-minute video, which included us haltering her and then taking her to the mat, getting her in her restraints and her full shearing, which most of her body was shorn because it had matted so much. She's a natural molter, so it kind of matted together. But I'm going to leave the full video for this as one of the bonuses for my patron members. So if you're interested in seeing that, check the link down in the description box. Become a patron. You'll be able to see that. But she is one of my rescue llamas, so it was a very interesting experience. But at one point I asked the shearer how much she weighed because it was such a task to handle her. And I want you to hear what he had to say.
How heavy do you think she is?
6, dude. I'm telling you.
What?
600. 600? Ginormous animal.
Oh, if you were good, thank you. I wonder what her tire was like.
It's like one of those big alpacas is 180. 150.
I wonder how much Thunder weighs, because he was...
Good job, Abby. Oh, she's bigger than him.
Yeah.
By far.
Thank you for joining me today. I'll see you on the next video.